Howdy, everybody. Yeah, it's that time again. It's another in Jim Brentar's music series, songs I've written over the years that have not seen the light of day. Well, I'm not sure what to say about today's song. It's called A Working Man, and yeah, I've had to work for a living. At times it was hard work, at times it wasn't that hard, but if you work for a living, you may notice at times that work isn't valued as highly as you might think. At least not if you judge by the kind of pay and benefits you get if you have to work for a living. And so I've had a lot of sympathy for those who work hard for a living and end up with the short end of the stick. So I wrote a song about it, and once again, it's one of those songs I'm just not entirely happy about the way it came out. I mean, it's trying to, send a message. Maybe that's part of the problem, is that the song should be able to stand on its own 2 feet, not apart from any message that it's trying to send. But anyway, it deserves to see some light of day, so that's today's song. It's called A Working Man. He's been working his whole life through, but his bankroll's getting slim. Someone's getting rich off his labor, but it ain't him. He'll keep working anyway, what else can he do? If a man is working for a living, then that's what he should be able to do. Cause a working man's gotta work for a living, but a decent living is what he ought to get. Pay all the bills every month without worry, still have a few bucks left at the end. He ought to get something in return for all his pain and all his sweat. A working man's gotta work for a living, but a living is what he ought to get. Vacations are what other people take, at least from what she hears. Between her 3 jobs, she ain't had a day off in something like 5 years. Hungry little mouths to feed ain't just another cliche. It's reality for you and me and a lot of good folks today. Cause a working gal's gotta work for a living, but a decent living is what she ought to get. Pay all the bills every month without worry, still have a few bucks left at the end. She ought to get something in return for all her pain and all her sweat. A working gal's gotta work for a living, but a living is what she ought to get. He didn't quit smoking because of his health, it just cost too much money. He's glad that he quit anyway, even though it might seem funny. Cause he can't afford to see a doctor, even if he needed to. A working man shouldn't have to choose between healthcare, housing, and food. Cause a working man's gotta work for a living, but a decent living is what he ought to get. Pay all the bills every month without worry, still have a few bucks left at the end. He ought to get something in return for all his pain and all his sweat. A working man's gotta work for a living, but a living is what he ought to get. Tennessee Ernie once said it best: another day older and deeper in debt. You think that things might have changed since then, but the same things happen again and again. Just like the folks working down in the mine, working for a living, but they end up dying. Working, trying to get ahead, but she ain't got there yet. It may be legal, but it's as close to slavery as you can get. Working gal don't mind the work, that's part of who she is. But a decent living in return would be a lot better than this. Cause a working gal's gotta work for a living, but a decent living is what she ought to get. Pay all the bills every month without worry, still have a few bucks left at the end. She ought to get something in return for all her pain and all her sweat. A working gal's gotta work for a living, but a living is what she ought to get. The working man's gotta work for a living, but a decent living is what he ought to get. Pay all the bills every month without worry, still have a few bucks left at the end. He ought to get something in return for all his pain and all his sweat. The working man's gotta work for a living, but a living is what he ought to get. There you have it, A Working Man. As I said, I'm not happy with the way the song came out. It's got some good things about it, but part of me wants to go back and rewrite it from scratch, but another part of me says, why bother? You know, not every song you write has to be a great song. Some of them, you know, can be a little problematic, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. So anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hope that you are all doing well out there today, and we'll see y'all real soon.